I am an animator, not for a job or for school, but as a passion. I got into it as a kid making stop motion films with Lego. It wasn't until I was 13 that I started doing the kind of animation that I do now, digitally and with a drawing tablet and pen. All it took for me to get up to that point was Googling free animation software, and with enough digging, I was able to just start animating, just like that. But it always wasn't like this, and it wasn't always so easy. Traditionally, the only way to get into animation was through either schooling or doing professional studio work. That's not to say that there weren't independent films or studios or creators, there were, but they were few and far between. It wasn't until the late 90s that freelance independent animation began to find some sort of a foothold. And there's a lot of different things that people contribute to this. Flash, Newgrounds, the internet as a whole, but the ones that I found the most important, especially now, were open source and free software. So what do these terms mean, and why should you use open source and free software? Well, open source refers to one's ability to freely access a software's original code, and you're allowed to redistribute and modify and share that code. The free in free software refers to the idea of freedom as opposed to a price tag. The user is free to do with the program and the code what they want. That's what makes it free. But what's so valuable about open source? First and foremost, because everyone has access to it, anyone can work on it. Instead of a small, tiny development team working on the program, it'll have an ever-growing amount of users. This means more people adding new features, spreading cool ideas, fixing bugs, making things faster, adding new changes, new interesting things. The list goes on and on. With closed source programs, the ones you see being made by industry titans like Adobe or Apple, you don't have the same level of control or freedom. They can restrict the hardware that you use, the kind of computer that you use it on, what add-ons you use, the types of brushes that you use, what you do with it, what you want to do. They take away control from the user and give it back to themselves. That's what makes open source so important, and that's why artists should be using it. So what specifically makes this so important for artists? Well, open source communities and art groups have gone hand in hand for quite some time now. Open source programming emphasizes the idea that anyone should have access to programs or software, not just a privileged few. In the case of art, everyone can have access to animation software, or drawing software, or music software. Thus, anyone is allowed to be an artist. Additionally, open source make art communities more connected to the software they're using. With my own personal experience using Pencil 2D, if I had an issue with the software or a suggestion or something I wanted to showcase, there were people readily available to help. Programmers who listen to suggestions and take those suggestions and put them back into the code. People who worked in the community and then developed new branches for themselves. The dev team who actively encouraged creation and pushing the boundaries to see what the program would do. People fixing and building and doing more and creating more. That has a powerful impact. A common argument against open source is that there aren't many programs available, or if they are, they're not very good. However, this is as far from the truth as you can be. OpenSource.com, for example, lists a whole bunch of software for a variety of trades. Things like Kitra, GIMP, Blender, Darktable, all amazing award-winning software, all open source. The main reason why I think you should not only use, but actively support free open source software is the message and values it brings. It encourages transparency, freedom, user control, artistic expression, regardless of who you are. It lets that awkward middle schooler find a passion that changes their life. It lets anyone from anywhere be an artist. And that's a beautiful thing.